Lately, I've been drawn to smaller PC builds that focus on the simple things: build quality, clean design, and dense arrangement. So when I found the case that perfectly fit that brief, I was shocked that no one was talking about it. Stay with me for the full build, case teardown, and review of the Performance 1M. I'll also share some vital tips for taming high-end CPUs in tiny ITX cases so that they don't go super hot, so stick around. Antec are the dad wearing socks and sandals of the tech world. Sure, it gets the job done, but where's the heart? Where's the style? I think they've answered that question with the Performance 1M. The finish is sublime. Tough powder-coated aluminium and steel forms the backbone, and it feels ultra-premium with CNC precision machining. The ventilation pattern is geometric and appealing, yet functional. The exterior is a beautiful dark grey and the interior a vibrant red. The front panel is perfectly simple. Just a USB-C and a slim power button. The best description for this is dark Mac, but like a Mac, the price tag is steep. I paid £180 for this case in late 2025. However, the exterior is not the only part of this case that surprised me. Let's talk layout. The Antec Performance 1M is not the tiniest small form factor case. It sits somewhere between the Fractal Terra and the Lian Li A3. The panels are all toolless. Off comes the top, then the sides one by one. Similar to the Fractal Terra, the 1M is a sandwich-styled layout with an adjustable spine, letting you prioritise space for either CPU or GPU to your liking. There is a PCIe 4 riser piece included for your graphics card, as well as a generous 350mm of length, meaning that even some RTX 5090s can be placed inside. Though, of course, those cards are often thicker and may limit your CPU cooler height. Antec's website can help with clearances. There is an SSD point at the front here, as well as cables from your front panel and a power supply extension lead. The included screws come in this box here, and there are only 2 types of screw in the box. I have a special surprise now. I had my eye on the MSI Inspire RTX 5080, and once it dropped to £950, I pounced, though with a slight sting when I realised quite how high GPU prices have become. I think the champagne-coloured shroud will fit our premium vibe perfectly here, and the RTX 5080's performance is nothing short of incredible at 4K and 1440p super high FPS. It slots into the riser piece here and fixes with screws at the side. Then we just add in our 12V high power cable, fitting it snugly without any gaps. I want to include some bottom intake fans. The Performance 1M allows for 2 120 or 140mm fans, which will be very handy for cooling. I'm going to reuse some Fractal Aspect 14s that I had lying around, and I'll use them with fan grills to prevent cables catching. I think intake will be the best airflow direction for this build, but if you think differently, please tell me in the comments. Next, we'll look at the motherboard support. It goes without saying, this case only supports mini ITX boards, so let me introduce you to our platform today. The ASRock B850i Lightning contains plenty of power delivery for any AM5 CPU and pleasing aesthetics. This will host our Ryzen 7 9800X3D, the fastest gaming CPU in town. But don't worry, we have updated the BIOS of this motherboard so you don't get any of those burning CPU worries. We'll also hook up our test SSD, which is the crucial T500, and 32GB of DDR5 6000 CL30 memory. This is the low profile ADATA kit. All that remains is the cooler, Thermalright AXP120X67. The best value, low profile AM5 CPU cooler, which, at least in my testing, actually beats its Noctua counterpart in cooling. That said, it is a small cooler for such a high-end CPU. Our setup will allow for this 67mm high cooler in the case, but always double check with your own dimensions. That's the small form factor life. I like to hook up the CPU and 24-pin power cables before actually mounting the cooler for an easier time. The board will now easily nestle inside the case and mount into the 4 standoffs. Then all I have to do is hook up the USB-C and power button, which comes in a uni-block. The final piece is the power supply, for which we'll need either an SFX or SFXL sized unit, and no chances are taken here. Super reliable 850 watt Cooler Master V850, gold rated, PCIe 5, easy choice. We've already connected all our components, so we just put the modular cables into the unit and mount it up. The only problem with this power supply is that it comes with a 90-degree angled 12V high power cable for some insane reason. Luckily, it's just a plastic casing that folds the cable so you can unclip it and then get a straight cable again. Then some quick cable management using cutouts in the metal, and we're almost done. The final step was to adjust the spine of the case so that it fit both our 67mm CPU cooler and our RTX 5080 graphics card. And with that tweaked, we're good to go. Before testing the system, let's just take a step back and admire how gorgeous and industrial it looks. I am so pleased. Truly a case for grown-ups with taste. This is me in my happy place. The geometric pattern, subtle red accents on the exterior of the case, and wide base feet are utterly premium. As a short plug, my company PC36 sells this style in multiple spec levels to people in the UK, so if you know somebody that would like this style, send them over to pc36.co.uk, get them to use code YT50 for £50 off any PC on site. And if you get your friend to leave your email address at checkout, I'll ensure that you get a Steam gift card as well. Running into some testing now, I'm sure the thermals will be top of mind, they were for me, so let me show you. GPU, absolutely fine, no issues with cooling whatsoever. CPU, on the other hand, not particularly good. In fairness, this is a 9800X3D on a low profile cooler. We are pushing the limit. One thing you'll notice is that the CPU temperature in games was actually pretty decent. It only went super high when the CPU was fully loaded under stress test conditions. So here's my solution for ITX systems with the 9800X3D. Set a 75 degrees TJ Max in the BIOS, some people might prefer 80 degrees, and then set a -20 curve optimizer, which is safe for most users. And you can have PBO enabled as well. What this does is reduce the thermals and therefore noise in situations where the CPU is running 100%, such as video editing, but it does not affect the gaming performance in any noticeable way. That's because, as you see, in games the temperature didn't reach 75 degrees C anyway, so no throttling. I call that the best of both worlds. As you can see, insane 1440p performance in every game that we threw at it. You can truly crank everything up and retain a buttery smooth experience in single player story titles and fast paced shooters alike, but that's no surprise with such high end gear. I use presets to make it easy to compare different computers, but with further settings tweaks I'm sure you could get even more performance out of these parts. And because I hit a 5-piece in Battlefield 6, I'm going to leave that up on screen simply to show off. It scored really nicely in Puget Bench as well, meaning you can easily edit videos at 4K. This is faster than the PC I'm editing this video you're watching right now. On screen now you'll see my scoring rubric, which helps me formalise my reviews. The maximum score is 18, with each category scoring from 0 to 3. Aesthetics up first, and you know I'm giving this the full 3 out of 3. Insanely nice looking and beautiful design. Build quality, full 3 out of 3. This is the highest build quality and metals I've seen in a PC case in ages. Compatibility, when adjusted to small form factor, I give this 2 out of 3. You can't get an AIO liquid cooler in here, which some SFF cases will offer, so it falls short of the max points, but the 350mm of GPU clearance is very generous for an ITX chassis. For cooling, I'm going to say 1 out of 3, simply because you can't get an AIO in here. That's the design of the case, but I can't say it has incredible 3 out of 3 cooling when AIOs are not in play. The other thing to note is that we did use a very high-end CPU in such a small case, so it might actually belie the true cooling potential of this case. Ease of building, this is exceptionally simple, 3 out of 3 when adjusted to ITX standards. There's enough room, and they've really cut down on the number of cables to route by having a very minimal front panel. I'm struggling to see a way to improve the ease of building. This is the best ITX case for building I've ever seen. Pricing. You're going to roast me in the comments for this, but I'm going to give it a 2 out of 3. This case cost £180. Of course, you could get a Cooler Master NR200p Max, and that is objectively far better value because you're getting the PSU and the cooler included. But with the Performance 1M, you are getting that quality in workmanship and materials for the money that you've paid. It's clearly not a bargain, but I don't think the price tag is so unreasonable, particularly considering it is appealing to a niche market. It's better than just getting any old case and slapping a load of RGB on, which a lot of expensive cases seem to do nowadays. So that gives Antec Performance 1M an insanely good 14 out of 18, very respectable indeed. The big question then, do I, a PC builder of over 10,000 hours experience, recommend the Antec Performance 1M? If you're one of those people that likes to pay for quality, then yes. If you're more budget conscious, then no. The Lian Li A3 isn't much bigger, and that has better and cheaper build options with regards to components, as well as the case being significantly cheaper as well. The Fractal Terror is also decently smaller if you wanted to go for a smaller build. The Cooler Master NR200P Max is definitely better value overall as well. But for me, the Antec Performance 1M just really hits the mark in a way that's not always easy to articulate and easy to show in numbers. So much so that I'm really considering pinching this case for my own personal build. Let me know your thoughts on the build and please subscribe. I'll leave you with some additional stills to enjoy now.